A very pleasant night for baseball. Here for the play-by-play is Howie Rose.
All right, thank you very much, Josh. So Valdespine getting a shot in center field, leading off, batting at .278 with 7 homers and 22 runs batted in. Tim Lincecum sets up shop on the first base side of the rubber. And the first pitch of the game, a fastball drilled in the air to center. Blanco coming on, and he makes the catch. And so for the second straight night, the first hitter in the game for the Mets has gone after the first pitch and flied out. It was Tejada last night, Valdespine tonight. And now Ruben Tejada, batting second in the order, will be the hitter against Lincecum. Lincecum makes his 22nd start. What's happened to him is a mystery, although everybody around the Giants seems to have a theory, and that includes not only people who work for the organization, but obviously fans. And if you listen to sports radio, and we know you do, I mean, it can be wall-to-wall Lincecum out here. Tejada, right-hand batter, takes first pitch, fastball right down the middle for a called strike, 0-1. Now, that fastball was at 91. Lincecum a few years ago would throw 94, 95 routinely. Well, not anymore. So one of the theories is he's still looking to adjust to how to get by with less. The 0-1 misses the inside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. Lincecum will throw the slider to right-handers. When it's right, it's got great bite. And the same for his split or changeup, which he will throw mostly against the left-handers. The 1-1 on the way. Fastball pulled on the ground towards short, backhanded by Crawford. Long throw to first and plenty of time to get Tejada. 2 men away. So Daniel Murphy will be the batter, and we'll look at the Giants defensively. They have Belt at first, Terrio at second, Crawford at short, and Scudero at third, with Cabrera, Blanco, and Christian left to right in the outfield, and their battery, Tim Lincecum on the mound. Buster Posey does the catching. And now Daniel Murphy. Murph did not start last night, came in the 6th inning as part of a double switch, wound up going 0 for 3. Batting at .302 on the year, a left-hand batter. And Lincecum with his first pitch. Fastball upstairs at 91. 1 ball and no strikes. Hyundai has donated over $100,000 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund, benefiting the Columbia University Medical Center and New York Presbyterian Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital. The 1-0 to Murphy, tries to hold his swing at that split, but he went around. It's a strike, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. The home plate by the way, Bill Miller. Dale Scott, the crew chief at first, Dan Isonia at second, and C.B. Buckner, the man who just charged Murphy with that strike. He's the umpire at third. And the 1-1 pitch to Murph. Fastball rides high, 2-1. Well, the Mets hit 2 home runs last night, all by Scott Hairston. Still a Met. And this season's total contribution now $9,300. We'll talk along the way about some of the stuff Sandy Alderson had to say today. 2-1 on the way. Fastball hit hard towards third. Down to Anita. Grab at Scudero. Throws to first in time. Side retired. Well, nothing wrong with Lincecum there. He gets the side in order. Middle of the first inning. The Mets nothing. And the Giants coming up on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets! FAN!
Prepare meals more confidently and creatively. Sub-Zero Wolf are unrivaled in performance. No one gets close to their...
Last of the first inning, the Mets went down 1-2-3 in the top half against Lincecum, and now, at least from the San Francisco perspective, the party of the other part, Matt Harvey. But of course, he is the headliner in New York. And there was a lot of talk in the day or two following Harvey's debut in Phoenix on Thursday night that one of the reasons he threw 98 on a few occasions was because of the adrenaline of his first major league start, and that he was so amped up. So Terry Collins said, I'm kind of curious to see him next start after the adrenaline wears off. Well, I'm not so sure it's off. We'll explain in a moment as Gregor Blanco, a left-hand batter, leads off. Harvey's first pitch, a fastball right down the middle at 94 for a called strike 1. Matt Harvey's pitching in front of a full house here in San Francisco against a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. There's going to be plenty of adrenaline tonight, you would think. The 0-1 fouled back to the screen, a fastball. No balls and 2 strikes. But it's certainly human nature to not ever, at least until maybe you get to a postseason type start, be as amped up as you are for that very first one. And under those conditions, what he did was terrific. They would like to see him cut down on those pitches a little bit and use the changeup more. The 0-2 on the way. Fastball swung on and missed, strike 3. 97 on that baby. So there's still plenty of adrenaline flowing through Mr. Harvey.
And there's still an NL West opponent that's willing to swing at a fastball up, around, if not over the letters. And that's something that Arizona really did to help out. The stat is, however, his 106 pitches, 67 of those were out of the strike zone. But Arizona swung at 23 of those 67, and a lot of those up high like we just saw.
And here's Ryan Theriot, right-hand batter, takes the first pitch, fastball outside, 1-0. We talked about that really midway through the game in Phoenix, that word gets out, there'll be scouting reports, and hitters will learn. The 1-0, fastball down the middle, a called strike, 1-1. And by the way, 5 pitches and all fastballs thrown so far by Matt Harvey. 1-1 the count. Now the pitch to the right-hand hitter, hit on the ground weakly to second. In a couple of steps, Murphy, he's got it. Throws to first in time, 2 men away. We'll look at the Giants' defense. The Mets defensively, they have Davis at first, Murphy at second, Tejada at short, Wright at third. Hairston, Valdespine, Baxter left to right in the outfield. And the battery brought to you by Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. Visit interstatebatteries.com for a dealer near you. Harvey pitching and Tolley catching. Remember, it was Rob Johnson, Harvey's battery mate in Buffalo, who caught him in Phoenix. Now it's Tolley. And here is Melky Cabrera batting .353. First pitch on the outside corner of the knees for a called strike, 0-1. Fastball at 94. Cabrera second in the league to Andrew McCutchen in hitting. And the 0-1 waved at and missed. There's the changeup. And a good-looking changeup down and away. It was at 87 miles an hour.
And that's what Dan Wortham wanted to see. Changeups to that 3, 4, 5 part of the order. The guys that can hurt you with the fastball swing.
So here's the 0-2 on the way. Fastball inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So he's worked both sides of the plate already here against Cabrera. Second in the league in hitting. First in the majors in hits. The 1-2, another changeup that's high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I like that, though. Show it a couple times early and plant that seed. Then maybe tonight you're going to see that, because Arizona only saw 5 of them. Already 2 shown to Melky Cabrera.
So here's the 2-2 pitch. Changeup swung on and missed, strike 3. So Harvey has success with a changeup, strikes out 2 in the inning, and the Giants go in order. At the end of 1, no score on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. We go to the second inning with no score. Ike Davis leads off. Lincecum's first pitch is a splitter swung on and missed, 0-1. Well, Ike, after that monumental 4-for-4 3-home run game on Saturday night, has since gone 0-for-9 with 7 strikeouts and a couple of poor plays defensively last night. He's batting .211, 20 homers, tied for 7th in the league, 60 RBIs. 0-1 fastball pulled on the ground right side, smothered on the edge of the outfield grass by Theriot, who throws out Davis, 1 man away. Nice play by Ryan Theriot. Moving to his left, his glove side, and up quickly to get Davis by plenty.
Dancing to his feet right there. Denny Theriot, not Ryan Theriot. And Ike Davis, it's unfortunate. That's the best swing he's had, Howie, since that 3-home run game. But it doesn't buy him a hit. He's 0-for-10.
Scott Hairston, well, that's another story. Hairston, last night, the offensive hero for the Mets, game-tying homer in the 8th inning, a 2-run shot, led off the 10th inning with a solo home run, and still a Met. There was a lot of speculation about that. Lincecum deals a fastball in for a called strike, 0-1. Without talking specifically about what was being offered for Hairston, Mets general manager Sandy Alderson said that in conversations with other teams about some players that the Mets might have been looking to move, the 0-1, a chopper foul off to the left of home plate, no balls and 2 strikes. Sandy said in some cases what the other teams were offering weren't even top 30 prospects in their minor league system. And Sandy is pretty adamant about the fact that if he was going to move a Hairston, for example, he wanted somebody who could play this year and next for the Mets, certainly next year. The 0-2 on the way. Fastball lined over second, base hit center field. So Hairston, with the first hit of the game, turns first and holds on. He's happy to still be a Met. And a one-out base runner for New York will bring up Mike Baxter.
You can see why he's got some value. That's a high fastball that he fights on into left center field, making him 3 for his last 3. His 6th career multi-home run game last night is why the Mets won that thing.
I think a big part of the equation with Hairston, too, is that the Mets really want him around here next year. Now, he's unsigned as of the end of this season. But you tell me, what's the Mets outfield next year? Mike Baxter, maybe. He leads off, takes high, 1 ball and no strikes as Mike starts for the first time in the outfield. Gets his first defensive experience now since the play that cost him 2 months but saved Johan Santana's no-hitter. Baxter hitting at .333 with no homers and 10 runs batted in. Lincecum throws over. Hairston dives back in. But, right now, Josh, you look at the Mets organizationally, and you take the infield. You could see them starting next season with the same infield they have now.
Right.
That's not a stretch.
No.
But the outfield, that's another story.
That needs some work. It does. And you've got some things in the pipeline, but not probably right away.
The 1-0 to Baxter, line in the air to left, moving over. Cabrera makes the catch, almost seemed to have lost it a bit, and fires back into the infield as holding at first is Hairston. 2 men away and Justin Turner coming up.
If the outfield is where Valdespin, for example, ends up, you can see that that's a building block. You thought that about Neuenhuis, but he regressed and has to prove himself all over again. Further down in the minor leagues, whether it's a guy like Cesar Puello or some of the other guys in Port St. Lucie, those are not guys you're looking at 2013. That's 2014, 2015. So you're right. If next year is what you're talking about, that's where free agency might be dipped into, or trades.
Well, here's Justin Turner batting at .279 with no homers and 15 runs batted in. No score. 2 out top of the second. Hairston at first. Lincecum delivers. Fastball inside 1-0. Brandon Nimmo, who last year was the Mets' first-round pick, an outfielder, has had a couple of strong games in a row for Brooklyn, but, that's short season A-ball. 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 3 RBIs in the last 2 games for Nimmo. The 1-0 on the way. On the inside corner. Called strike, a fastball, and it's 1-1 to Turner.
I've always thought there are 2 things you can't hurry. One of them is love. We learned that from Diana Ross. The other one, it's prospects. I mean, Brandon Nimmo is probably going to be an outstanding player, but to push him forward just because you've got need now doesn't make any sense.
Realistically, that's 3 years away.
Sure.
1-1 the count. The pitch to Turner, fastball at the knees, good pitch, called strike, it's 1-2. And the other thing Sandy Alderson was saying was that the quality or level of prospects that were being offered back for whomever might have been available were basically copies of what the Mets have in their system now.
If you already have Matt Den Decker, you don't need Matt Den Decker 2.0. You've already got Matt Den Decker.
1-2 to Turner. Lincecum deals, and a splitter in the dirt, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
But a guy like Hairston, if you can have him come back next year, for example, show me another Mets outfielder right now that's got 14 home runs. It's Scott Hairston. Lucas Duda, if he develops or redevelops, that's somebody you'd want to consider as well. But right now he's playing his craft down in AAA.
2-2 to Turner. The outfield straightaway. Lincecum kicks. Hairston runs. The pitch fouled off to the right and out of play. That's going to reach the second deck behind first base. Mets baseball is brought to you by RE/MAX of New York. In today's challenging economy, you need to work with the best when it comes to buying and selling real estate. Nobody in the world sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Visit RE/MAX.com today, or foreclosure and short sale experts. That's something to keep an eye on. Out of town, A.J. Burnett of the Pirates pitching a no-hitter through 7 against the Chicago Cubs. Pittsburgh leading 5-0. And he's now retired the first batter in the 8th. So Burnett 5 outs away from what would be his second career no-hitter. 2-2 pitch in the dirt. Slider, and a full count now on Turner, which means that Hairston, who had been running on the 2-2 pitch, will have an automatic start from first. We're in the second inning with no score. Mets looking for their 3rd win in a row. The Giants have lost 5 straight. The season's high. And the crowd trying to help Lincecum through. Belt plays behind the runner Hairston, who runs the payoff pitch. Line to left field, going back. Cabrera reaches up, can't get it. It's over his head and goes to the wall. Here comes Hairston around third. He'll score standing. The throw comes into the cutoff man, Crawford, and stopping at second with a double and a run batted in is Justin Turner, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
It's uncanny. Whoever the substitute is for that part in the play, the understudy will step in there and do exactly what you'd expect from the original performer. We saw it the other day. Cedeno in for Tejada is able to blast a double in his first at bat. And here's Turner in for right, and he blasts a double in his first at bat.
And now Josh Thole, left-hand batter. It takes a breaking ball low, 1-0. Cabrera looked a little awkward going after that. If he had taken an immediate angle to that ball, he might have been able to get there. It looked like he took a lateral step and then cut back and basically had to reach up and leave his feet a little bit, and the ball sailed over him. Mets will gladly take it. Thole batting .271 on the 1-0. Fastball hit on the ground to second, right at Terrio. He's got it. Throws to first in time. Side retired. But the Mets break out with a run on 2 hits. No errors, 1 left. Middle of the second inning. The Mets 1, the Giants nothing on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets! FAN!
The boldness.
1-0 Mets as we go to the bottom of the second. Tickets for the soccer match at Citi Field featuring the national teams from Ecuador and their South American rival Chile on Wednesday, August 15th at 8 p.m. are on sale now. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit tickets.com now for your tickets. Giants will have Buster Posey up to lead off the second against Matt Harvey, who struck out 2, retiring the side in order in the first. So anyway, A.J. Burnett working on a no-hitter. In the 8th inning, Pittsburgh leading the Cubs 5-0. Today, of course, was the trading deadline. The Giants made a splash. Hunter Pence comes to San Francisco from the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch from Harvey to Posey is a fastball outside, 1-0. Pence will not be activated until tomorrow. Nate Shearholtz and a couple of minor leaguers went to Philadelphia. Here's the 1-0. And a changeup grounded foul back towards the backstop. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now the Giants bench is going to be compromised tonight. They have brought up Brett Hill essentially to take the roster spot of Shearholtz. Both Aubrey Huff and Angel Pagan are banged up. Pagan may need a few days. The 1-1 on the way. Fastball outside, 2-1. Pagan seemingly in a fit of anger last night in the dugout. Injured his hand. And Aubrey Huff just can't run. He just came off the DL from knee problems. The 2-1 on the way. Low. 3 balls and 1 strike. So Harvey falling behind Posey here. So the Giants don't have a whole lot of depth on that bench for Bruce Bochy tonight.
No, very thin. And remember, their bullpen is real stretched out, too.
3-1 pitch. Posey swings, rips it in the air to center. Valdez being cut back now, moves in, dives, and traps it. It's a base hit for Posey. Valdez-Bean cost himself that play by breaking back on the ball initially and then tried to close ground and just couldn't get there in time. Posey holds on at first with a base hit.
Same umpiring crew that ruled so confusedly on a Valdez-Bean trap in Atlanta, right? Coming out of the All-Star break 2 weeks ago. Dale Scott and Dan Iasanya were the same guys that had to rule on that one. And this time with authority, that second base umpire ruled correctly. That is a trap.
And a play that may be part of video review before too long, according to Commissioner Selig. Marco Scutaro, the batter, bounces the first pitch past the diving Turner down the third base line. Hairston over towards the line to get it. Heading for third is Posey. He slides in safely as the throw went to third, and following down to second is Scutaro with a hard-hit ground ball double. Runners at second and third, nobody out.
All right, well, here we go. Now we finally get to see what Matt Harvey's all about when the going gets tough. He never painted himself into any kind of danger in that Arizona game. One mild threat for the Diamondbacks in those 6 innings that he worked, or parts of 6 innings, but this is second and third and nobody out. And Brandon Belt, 7 for his last 19 coming up.
Makes you wonder if David Wright might have been able to make that play, because David does do very well going to his right. Turner was off the line just a little bit too far to get there. So the infield back for Brandon Belt, left-hand batter. Harvey deals and misses way upstairs with what looked like a changeup. 1 ball and no strikes. They clock it at 85, and that's changeup neighborhood for Harvey. So a crisis here early in the game for Matt. The Mets are leading 1-0. They'll concede the tying run, but not 2, not yet. The 1-0 on the way. Fastball low and inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Philadelphia, having traded Shane Victorino to the Dodgers, as well as Hunter Pence to the Giants. What do tonight? They go out, shut out Washington, the team with the best record in baseball, and beat Steven Strasburg 8-0 behind Cliff Lee, who needed help from a few relievers to win his second. Here's the 2-0. Changeup swung on and missed. Big cut by Belt. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Braves lead the Marlins 4-0 at the end of 5 innings in Atlanta. Donnie Murphy and Brian McCann with home runs, and that game is now being delayed by rain. Posey at third, Scutaro at second, nobody out. Harvey's 2-1. Changeup pop foul, coming back into the seats behind third. The count 2-2. Burnett, we're told, has lost his no-hitter with 2 out in the 8th inning. A hit by Cardenas has broken up the no-no, but Pittsburgh continues to lead the Cubs 5-0. In
the meantime, Harvey with as many changeups, 6 batters into the game as he had the entire game against Arizona.
Now Harvey sets the 2-2 to Belt. Fastball low inside, full count. So he certainly has that pitch in the hitter's heads already. But here in the second inning, remember that hit by Posey, a more experienced and polished center fielder might well have caught. Valdespin broke back on the ball and then had to trap it. Scutaro, the ground ball double beyond the reach of a diving Turner. So second and third, no out. Harvey sets. Here's the payoff pitch. Outside ball 4. He threw him another changeup and missed. Belt started those hands, couldn't hold up. Well, here's Justin Christian, and I can't avoid a recollection here. Jerry Koosman, in his rookie year in 1968, pitched the home opener for the Mets against the Giants. And in the very first inning, the Giants had the bases loaded with nobody out, just as the Giants do here. Koosman was able to strike out Willie Mays. He popped up, I think it was Jim Ray Hart, and strike out Willie Mays. He popped up, I think it was Jim Ray Hart, and struck out Jack Hyatt. 3 pretty good hitters. So, Mr. Harvey, you've got some history to live up to here. Justin Christian batting $176, right-hand hitter. First pitch swung on and missed a slider. 0-1.
And Christian, Crawford, and Lincecum are not exactly the triumvirate that you just mentioned, right. So it's a little easier in that regard. But Christian's a guy that at AAA this year is hitting .364.
Played briefly for the Yankees 4 years ago. Went to several colleges, including Auburn. 0-1 the count. Harvey from the stretch deals. Slider outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Christian, the 15th batter of the game. Geico wants you to know that a 15-minute phone call can save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com. 1-1 the count. Outfield is straight away. The infield back. Harvey sets at the letters. The 1-1 pitch. Fastball popped in the air, foul down the right field line, slicing towards the seats and out of play. And Harvey ahead now. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Reds beat the Padres 7-6. So it looks like with Pittsburgh up big late in their game that the Reds will maintain their 3-game lead over the second place Pirates in the National League Central. Pittsburgh and Atlanta would be the wild cards if the season ended today. 1-2 to Christian. Harvey sets. Now the pitch. Low, ball 2. Stopped in the dirt by Tolley. And the count even. Milwaukee 8, Houston 1 at the end of 6 in Milwaukee. Aramis Ramirez, Corey Hart, and Chris Snyder have homered. Posey at third, Scutaro at second, Belt at first with nobody out. 1-0 Mets in the bottom of the second inning. Harvey working hard here. 2-2 against Christian. Now delivers, and a little number hit back towards the mound. Harvey's got it. Underhands home for the force play, and it wasn't easy. No return throw by TUE, so the bases remain loaded with one out. But Ramirez or at least Harvey kind of pushed that ball towards home plate, and it floated a little bit. Just started to sort of fade towards the first baseline on TUE, who had a more problematic play than he might have because he had to reach to his right and backhand the ball. But Harvey gets a big first out there on the fielder's choice as Posey, a guy who's not looking to get into any home plate collisions, is retired 1-2. That goes back to his serious ankle injury last year. So now Scudero is at third. Belt is at second. Christian at first. And left-hand hitting Brandon Crawford, the batter.
4 sliders of those 5 pitches thrown, by the way, to Justin Christian, including the one to get him.
Crawford hitting at .235. The infield back at double play depth. First pitch. Fastball low. 1 ball and no strikes.
Many more sliders and changeups than what we saw in that first effort against Arizona, where it was just so many adrenaline-laced fastballs just being pumped in there, one right after the other. This is more of a real pitching performance, not just throwing right now.
1-0 the count. Here's the pitch. Fastball line deep but foul down the left field line, and the count 1-1. That was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And it's all instructive because I'm sure part of the mindset of any power pitcher, young or otherwise, is to just muscle up, especially against the bottom of the order here. So we'll see how Harvey handles the rest of this confrontation with Crawford. Tim Lincecum is on deck. Harvey working from the stretch with the bases loaded. Here's the 1-1. Slider low inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Crawford. And Harvey pitching from behind quite a bit here in this second inning.
It's been 14 balls and 17 strikes so far. And again, as expected, the Giants simply laying off more of the pitches that are out of the zone than a very aggressive Arizona team did.
Now Harvey gets the sign from TUE. Comes set. The 2-1 pitch. Crawford fouls it back. A fastball just to the left of the screen, and the count 2-2. Harvey gets a new ball and walks to the back of the mound. Standing now to the right of the rubber as he waits for Crawford to get back into the batter's box. Scudero at third, Belt at second, Christian at first. The outfield pretty much straight away. Now Harvey has the sign from TUE. Comes set. The 2-2 pitch. High, ball 3. Looked like a changeup. And now Harvey is running full with the bases loaded to the number 8 hitter. The guy hitting .235 with 3 homers and 31 runs batted in. 1-0 Mets. That lead is threatened. 3-2 the count with 1 out. Harvey sets. Here's the pitch. Fastball hit on the ground to second. Murphy's got it to second. 1 Tejada to first. He threw it away off the screen in front of the Mets dugout. 1 run scores. Coming to the plate, Belt. He scores. And on at first, on the air by Tejada is Brandon Crawford. 2-run score. The Giants lead 2-1. It should have been an inning-ending double play, and for the second straight night, the Mets failed to execute a tailor-made double play. Harvey should have been out of the inning.
Well, and there are 3 plays in this inning where you can say that play should have been made. Valdespin with a wrong read in center. That's a base hit for Posey. Justin Turner, simply by not being David Wright, unable to get to that ball hit by Scudero. And now this, an air-mailed toss to first base from Ruben Tejada.
So here is Lincecum now. 2-1 Giants. First pitch. Fastball in for a called strike. 0-1. Ronnie Cedeno last night bobbled a double play ball. Should have gotten the Mets out of an inning. It did not. Harvey should be back in the dugout right now. Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball in for a called strike. It's 0-2. Well, he had the bases loaded, nobody out, and was 1 executed double play away from getting out of it. Now he's just trying to get Lincecum. 0-2 pitch on the way. A fastball high and tight, ball 1. And this is also part of the process. Overcoming adversity. Certainly it helps that you've got the opposing pitcher up. Lincecum just 3 out of 28 at the plate this year. Crawford at first, 2 men away. Now the 1-2 pitch. Fastball swung on and missed, strike 3. Side retired. Harvey deserved better. The Giants score 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 left. And at the end of 2, it's the Giants 2 and the Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Here's Josh.
All right, thank you very much, Howie. Matt Harvey is going to try to shake off what just happened to him. It's a 1-ball, no strikes count to him as Tim Lincecum misses outside. Harvey, and this would have just added to the lore of this 23-year-old, seemed to be out of a bases-loaded, nobody-out jam. 1-0 pitch chopped high towards short, waiting on it. Crawford has time to settle himself, throws low, and it's scooped at first. Brandon Belt surrounds it for the first out, and the first time Harvey's been retired. Remember, he was 2 for 2 against Arizona. Anyway, in what is now a 2-1 game, the Giants owning the lead. Bases loaded, nobody out last inning. And there's Harvey getting a comebacker from Justin Christian on a slider. He goes home with it. And there's out number 1. He gets Brandon Crawford on a 3-2 count to hit the ball sharply at second base. Should have been a double play to get the team out of the inning. But the Mets got only 1 out. Ruben Tejada threw it away. Only his second throwing error all year. Valdespin steps up there, takes outside, 1-0. Anyway, 2 runs scoring on the play, so instead of being able to laud Harvey for his composure, we can still do that. We just can't point to the scoreboard and improve it. 1-0 to Valdespin is high, 2-0 from Lincecum. So it is 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Giants, 1, 2, and 1 for the Mets, who escaped Alcatraz style last night with an 8-7 win in 10 innings. The 2-0 swing and a miss wildly, and a fastball. It's 2-1. That really was a great escape last night. Josh Edgen deserves a lot of the credit. He's now at 7 1/3 scoreless innings in a row. He has struck out 12 of the 23 lefties he's faced in the big leagues, and boy, was he poised. The 2-1 coming, breaking ball outside, 3-1. Nobody on, 1 out, 2-1 Giants. Marco Scutaro, a 10-year veteran, was at the plate last night with a chance to win the game. 3-2 bases loaded tie score, and on 3-2, no place to put him, no wiggle room. Edgen just struck him out. No big deal. 3-1 chopped near first. That is right on the line and finally called a foul belatedly. It got past the bag, and the first base umpire, Dale Scott, threw up his hands just as Bill Miller was about to throw his hands up as well from home plate. So 3-2 to Valdespin. Well, Edgen last night worked out of a jam. The Mets took an 8-6 lead, and Manny Acosta was in the process of giving it back when Terry Collins went to the mound. And Howie, you and I mused about what could have been said out there. What was the tone of whatever was being said? Because it looked like a very firm one-way conversation that was being had out there. Here's a wind in the 3-2. Taken on the inside corner. Strike 3 called, and Valdespin with a momentary stare down of Bill Miller, which is not a great idea. And then a parting comment over his shoulder, also not a real great idea. 2 out, then it brings up Tejada.
I think you were in the room. I asked Terry if it was a bit of a butt chewing that he gave to Manny Acosta on the mound, because it appeared to be that way. And Terry was pretty adamant about the fact that it wasn't. He tried to actually pump him up and build him up and say, hey, look, you were as good a pitcher as we had on this staff all of last year. Hitting's not easy. Go out and get these guys. Attack them.
And for Acosta, and let's face it, I mean, the last out, it was 398 feet away as the pitch comes in at Tejada, and it's inside 1-0. 400 feet would have meant the ball game. Brandon Belt would have hit it over that wall in center. That would have been the most damaging to your psyche loss of the entire season. But the ball stayed in the yard. Acosta had his first save all year. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball. Strike on the outside corner. 2-1 Giants on top here in the third. But I love Terry Collins saying that, what he was saying was basically, hey, relax. Why are you getting so worked up? You've done this before. Just relax. Throw some strikes. 1-1, a check swing, and it's down too low, 2-1. It's funny to order a guy in kind of a drill sergeant kind of way to relax. It seems kind of juxtaposed, but that's exactly what was going on out there.
Remember when Tommy Lasorda went out to talk to Jesse Orozco in the playoffs against the Mets in '88? Now, that was a butt chewing on national TV.
The 2-1. Tejada swings and drives it deep left field. Back on it, Melky Cabrera at the track, at the wall. It's on the base of the wall, and Tejada is going to pull into second base with a double, and I'm sure he thought that was gone. Melky Cabrera misplayed it. It hit the bottom of the wall. So you can kind of look at the left fielder a little funny and say that didn't go real well for him. And honestly, for Tejada, you can look at him and say, although it's doubtful he could have been at third base, he had no shot because he wasn't really busting it as soon as he hit it.
My question would be, when you have one major league home run and around 800 major league at-bats, how would you know that it should have been a home run? Get out of the box and hustle.
Right.
Especially after the error, which would have had the Mets out of the inning. It's atypical of Ruben, but still.
So Tejada with a double brings up Murphy, who hit it sharply in the first inning. Grounding out. Pitcher's taken high, and it's 1-0. Tejada's only major league home run about 610 at-bats ago now was in Chicago, September of 2010, with the wind blowing out. As it turned out, that one scraped the bottom of the wall about 375 feet away. Pitcher swung on and missed by Murphy, 1-1.
Just keep reminding myself of that great Frank Howard line. The cheapest commodity in this business is 90 feet. You got 2 out. You hit a ball. Your thoughts going out? Based on what? Punch ball? It's 1 homer and almost 800 at bats.
1-1 coming to Murphy, swinging a chopper foul right at the plate. Another changeup from Lincecum, 1-2. So if Tejada's going to get around and in, Murphy will have to do something to keep the inning alive. Again, the Mets with that thrilling 8-7, very unlikely victory yesterday. Giants stranded 16 in that game. Third time in the last 8 years they've stranded that many. Check of the runner off second. Now Lincecum calling time. Will back off the rubber. Outfield is ratcheted a bit towards left, and Cabrera's playing shallow again. That has cost him a couple of times tonight already. Ike Davis on deck, and Lincecum wants a whole new set of signs here from the catcher Buster Posey, who obliges. On 1-2, here it comes. Taken. Fastball a little bit inside 2-2. Coming to you live from the Peerless Boilers broadcast booth. Remember, Peerless builds America's Pez Boilers. Late night West Coast baseball. Full moon coming out. Although it's not dark yet, just a little bit of a hint of the moon out over that right field foul pole. Here's a 2-2 out pitch, swing and a foul back this way.
Might have been ball 3 that he swung at, because that ball was up and in on his hands.
Murphy takes a little walk outside the batter's box. A .390 hitter since the end of June. Tejada pacing that lead off of second. Lincecum shaking that long hair around as he shakes his head back and forth. No. Now he's got a sign that he likes. And the 2-2 wrapped in the air left center field. It hangs in the air, though. Blanco's got it. The center fielder a few strides towards left to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit. No errors, 1 left. Bottom of the third coming up. Giants 2 and the Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets! FAN!
There's always
Subscribe to the bottom of the 4th inning, and some very highly thought of youngsters will be squaring off against each other right now. Buster Posey was a top 5 pick in the draft not too long ago. And Matt Harvey, a top 10 pick not too long ago, will be winding and firing right now. Missing inside 1-0. Giants 2, Mets 1. It's his second big league start for Matt Harvey. And the 2 runs allowed really were not much his fault tonight. Defense let him down. The pitch blazing outside 2-0. Couple other 2-2 pitch to Posey, chopped on the ground, backhanded by Harvey before it can get up the middle. He turns and throws to first. Davis tippy toes to the bag. 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and we're seeing Harvey field his position well. That's 3 comebackers he's had to handle. Brings up Marco Scutaro. Milwaukee blasted Houston 10-1. Games now. I mean, that's not even funny what they're going through. Colorado trailing St. Louis tonight. Pitch coming way outside to Scutaro, 1-0. That's where the Giants got Scutaro from, is Colorado. But Josh Beckett had to leave the game in the 3rd with a sore back. Pitch up. Ball 4 to Marco Scutaro. So, again, a lot of fastballs riding up in the zone. That's not really that different than what happened in Arizona. The difference is the Giants aren't swinging at him. 1 on, 1 out for Brandon Belt. 2-1 San Francisco are scored. The Texas Rangers are sliding. The Angels beat him again 6-2 behind Jared Weaver, who is 14-1. Of course, R.A. Dickey at 14-2 will go to the mound soon enough for the Mets. They'll do that Friday in San Diego, trying to get to 15 wins. Infield, a double play depth for Brandon Belt, who will take in its low 1-0. Albert Pujols, a pair of home runs. Remember in the World Series last year, he went into that ballpark and hit 3 in one game. He had 2 tonight. Mike Trout hit another one, number 18. Murphy's trying to direct traffic from second base, trying to point Valdespin a little bit towards left. Toss to first is high. And reeling it in is Davis. Scutaro back in plenty of time. He's also trying to position the left fielder, Hairston, who's now moving a bit closer to the line and left. And Murphy's busy out there. Usually that's the shortstop. Sometimes the third baseman that'll be concerned with what's happening out there. Runner bluffing. 1-0 is bounced foul. 1-1. Scudero, a mild threat to run. He's got 7 steals. Finishing up the scoreboard, Kansas City over Cleveland tonight, 8-3. That's the final. The White Sox rallied to beat Minnesota 4-3. Francisco Liriano started that game for Minnesota. Everybody thought he'd be traded, and he was not. Across the bay, 8 miles from home plate here, Tampa Bay leads Oakland 2-0 in the 4th. Toss to first again, and once more, Scudero back in. We played 10 innings here last night. Across the bay, they played 15. We were in our PJs and snoring by the time that game was done. Theoretically. 1-1 pitch. Check swing. Hard fastball for a strike on the inner half. 1-2.
Try a breathe right. It helps.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the great inventions.
They're funny looking, though.
That's all right. They get the job done.
Okie doke.
You looking for style points in the middle of the night?
What if I have to go out and get ice?
Well, you want to breathe?
There's that guy with the breathe right.
Some things I'm not compromising. Breathing's one of them.
1-2 pitch. It's outside 2-2. I don't think I'm breathing wrong. I don't think I need a self-corrective measure here.
Well, they don't call it breathe better. They call it breathe right for a reason.
By the way, how pretty is that moon that is now just staring at us right up over that right field foul pole? Full moon here in San Francisco tonight. Pitch coming. Swing, and I missed. A hard fastball got him. 93 and boring in at Brandon Belch for out number 2. Justin Christian will come up. The Giants leading 2-1. You know, if there was no moon at all, that's a song from back in the day, No Moon at All, this would still be a great setting. You can see the little hint of the hills, the Oakland Hills, out beyond the left field palm trees that are out past the home run deck. There are ships bobbing along in port out in center and right. Here's the pitch to Christian. Outside, backhanded by Tolle, 1-0.
I have to think you had a similar reaction to the one I did when I first heard that they were going to build this ballpark here near the water. I said, not again. I said, after what happened at Candlestick,
right.
You're going to build another park right off the water? But they've angled it differently, and it works.
Pitch coming to Christian. He swings and he pops it up. Shallow right field. Murphy galloping back, and the second baseman's under it. 2-hand catch to retire the side. So on this a little bit chilly but very pretty night here in San Francisco, in the bottom of the 4th, no runs, no hits, and 1 man left at the end of 4. Giants 2, Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Redhead Coffee or iced coffee from 11 a.m. till close at participating New York tri-state area Wendy's. Purchase required in Manhattan. Wendy's, now that's better. 2-1 Giants. We're going to the top of the 5th, and here is Howie Rose.
And here's Justin Turner, who doubled in the Mets run. Takes the first pitch on the inside corner, a called strike, 0-1. It's the bottom third of the Mets order. Turner, Tolle, and Harvey here in the 5th inning. The Mets have had 3 hits off of Lincecum. The Giants 2 against Harvey. And the 0-1 to Turner can't hold a swing at a slider. It's a called strike anyways. He started his hands, but the home plate umpire, Bill Miller, called the strike. And quickly it's 0-2 on the Mets' third baseman, with David Wright getting the game off. The 0-2 on the way, tries to hold up at a fastball, and they check it first. And no swing, says Dale Scott. And the count 1-2. Went over to David Wright before the game. I said, half a day, huh? Day off. He says, well, we'll see. I think he thinks he's going to get in there at some point. And he might have something there. The 1-2 on the way, a bouncer to short. In a couple of steps, Crawford gathers it in at his waist and throws out Turner, 1 away.
You know, Wright was given the option by Terry Collins, saying, you're going to get one of these days off. You want to sit against Lincecum or do you want to sit against Kane? And he chose Lincecum with the 5.88 ERA. He wants in there against Matt Kane, who memorably back in 2009 beamed him, hit him right in the head.
So that'll be tomorrow, and that means that David would set himself up for playing the day game after the night game.
Yeah.
It's a 12:45 local start here on Thursday. Here's Tolle, and the first pitch taken down the middle, a called strike.
For many reasons, no one would have blamed David Wright for choosing choice B, but he chose tonight so he can play in the last 2 games of the series.
Tolle grounded to second his first time. The 0-1 on the way, lifted in the air down the left field line, slicing towards the seats and out of play. A foul ball, and quickly It's no balls and 2 strikes. The Mets catcher, Josh Tolley, who is going to do the bulk of the catching down the stretch. Rob Johnson now the backup. I think we'll see Mike Nicky as backup here in September. By the way, David Wright has great numbers against Matt Cain. 9 for 21. 429 average against him.
2 for 19 against Lincecum.
The 0-2 fastball outside. And the count 1-2 on Josh Tolley. So Lincecum looks pretty good, apart from the fact that you're measuring him against what he was just a couple of years ago. Of course, he's only 28 years old, but he's lost some velocity, and he's had weight fluctuation where he put weight on and then he lost weight and came to camp about 158 pounds. They say he's about 10 pounds heavier now. The 1-2 on the way. Splitter in the dirt, bounces off the chest of Posey. And so the count 2 balls and 2 strikes on Tolley.
He's fascinating to watch. The legs, the hips, the torso all work in perfect harmony. It looks a little unusual, but he generates so much torque, and his balance is unreal. He's got the body and the flexibility of a gymnast, which he shows off sometimes by ripping off a backflip or walking on his hands through the clubhouse. And, that nickname of the Freak, I know some people kind of have their antennas raised by that. Oh, why do they call him the Freak? Well, the way he can move, what he can do, as athletic as he is, it is kind of freakish.
2-2 on the way. Bouncing ball, first base side foul. Backhanded and foul ground by Brandon Belt.
They keep waiting for him to get hurt. The freak injury, if you will. But it really, when you think about it, Howie, nothing major. And, remember, he slipped in the draft years ago because people were scared off. He had that very wiry, small frame.
2-2 pitch on the way. Splitter in the dirt. Again bounces off of Posey. Full count. And so with Lincecum, it's not so much a matter of mechanics, although I guess that's part of what he has struggled with this year. Remember, he has the highest earned run average of any qualifying pitcher in baseball at 5.88 among the starters, of course. But it's learning how to get by with a little less than what he had. All pitchers have to do that. Payoff pitch on the way to Tolley, hit on the ground to second. He got a fastball in, hit it right at Terrio, throws out Tolley, 2 men away.
And that's 5 straight retired by Lincecum.
He's really not having to do a whole lot other than say what Johan Santana's had to learn to do. Johan threw 95 with regularity during his days with the Twins. Now Santana, we've kind of gotten fond of saying, is more what Tom Glavine was than what Johan Santana was. Lincecum's not to that point yet, but he's getting there. Matt Harvey takes the first pitch low, 1-0. This 5th inning brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Hours and hours of energy. It's 2-1 Giants. 2 out, nobody on top of the 5th. Harvey grounded to short his first time up. 1-0 pitch. Fastball down the middle. Strike 1 called. So Harvey no longer a perfect hitter. He was 2 for 2 in his major league debut. And the 1-1 on the way. Swung on and missed. A breaking ball and the count of ball and 2 strikes. Now Lincecum working from the first base side of the rubber. Delivers the 1-2 and a fastball fouled into the second deck to the right of home plate. Geico wants you to know that a 15-minute phone call can save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com. Christian pretty shallow in right field against Matt Harvey, who hit a home run this year. The 1-2 on the way. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a slider. Side retired. Harvey's homer coming back in April with Buffalo. Mets go in order. 7 in a row now. Retired by Lincecum. And in the middle of the 5th inning, the Giants 2, the Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets! FAN!
How much coffee are you going to?
Tejada, and Tejada's return throw to first sailed over the head of Ike Davis off the screen in front of the Mets dugout. The 1-2 on the way. Fastball fouled back to the left and out of play. Still 1-2, and that allowed 2 runs to score, and that's been the difference in the game so far. 1 of the runs earned. The only earned run Harvey has given up now in 9 1/3 big league innings.
Right, he's got a .96 ERA working right now.
1-2 to Brandon Crawford. And Harvey deals. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him with a fastball down and in, which is a little different look from how he has struck out several others. That ball, well, not as down as it appeared from our angle, but still well below the belt, just about the top of the kneecaps. Didn't want to paint the impression it was in the dirt, but Harvey has been able to pick up a lot of strikeouts up in the zone. That's his 5th here. So he has struck out 16 now. And the first pitch to Lincecum taken low, 1-0.
Well, that's not bad. He's faced 40 hitters in the big leagues. He's struck out 16 of them,
including Lincecum, his first time up. The 1-0 on the way. Fastball down the middle of the knees, a called strike, and it's 1-1. Now we mentioned that the Giants made the move that had been rumored for a few days, getting Hunter Pence from the Phillies. The 1-1, fastball swung on and missed, 1-2. So Nate Shearholtz goes to Philadelphia. And that's not the greatest news in the world for the Mets, because Shearholtz has beaten the Mets to pieces over the years. 1-2 pitch, fastball in there, strike 3 called. 6 strikeouts for Harvey. 2 out, nobody on. Back to the top of the order, and Gregor Blanco.
It's kind of the reverse of when Pat Burrell came here, Philadelphia to San Francisco. He kept on hitting the Mets real hard. He just did it in a different uniform. And I got to mention, too, Howie, a couple of the folks on Twitter called me on it correctly, so I completely blanked talking about Francisco Liriano pitching tonight. As a White Sox, not as a Minnesota Twin. He got traded from the Twins to the White Sox. I saw his name on the ledger, and you just think Twins, but obviously he's now a White Sox.
Here's Gregor Blanco, who pushes a bunt to the front of the mound, fielded by Harvey, fires to first in time, side retired. That was between the mound and third, just to the left of it. And Harvey got off the mound in a hurry. He has fielded his position beautifully tonight. The Giants go in order in the 5th. And at the end of 5, it's still 2-1 San Francisco on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Jordani Valdespin takes a slider for a called strike as we start the 6th inning. Giants 2, Mets 1. Valdespin nothing out of 2. Flied to center on the first pitch of the game and then struck out looking. Tim Lincecum's 0-1. Line in the air, shallow center, going to fall in. Base hit for Valdespin. And Valdespin turns first and holds with the Mets' 4th hit of the game. And for the first time in the game, the Mets have the leadoff man on. So that'll bring up Ruben Tejada as we come to you live from the Peerless Boilers broadcast booth. Remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers. Tejada doubled off the base of the wall in left center field his last time up. Didn't get a great break out of the box, as though he thought he might have hit one out of the park. It's happened one other time in his major league career, meaning hit a home run. So not the most familiar feeling to him. But right now he's drawing the attention of the third baseman Marco Scutaro, who shortens up on the edge of the grass. And a throw to first, Valdespin back standing. So Tejada has now hit in his last 6 games. And basically hit and hit and hit. Save for the time, of course, he was on the disabled list. But, you know, when you look at where the Mets are going or where they've been to this point in this season, first pitch to Tejada, he tries to push a bunt to the right side and bunts right through it, missing, and the count 0-1. You know, when you look at where the club might end up this year, what are they, 3 games under 500 now? I think it's reasonable to assume that this is not a season that will be about the postseason now. It's about winning as many as they can, but even more importantly, I think, finding young players who are going to fit. Certainly Tejada's one of them. The 0-1 on the way, pulled on the ground, foul down the third base line, 0-2. Now, you know, they're still looking for Ike Davis to become a consistently good hitter. Obviously, he's had wild ebbs and flows this year. Regression from Lucas Duda and Kirk Neuenhuis kind of clouds the picture for next year. Matt Harvey has certainly been encouraging in, 10 1/3 big league innings. But we're going to see some more of these kids as this season moves along. I think it can pretty well mark that down, and especially pitching in the bullpen. The 0-2 to Tejada, swing and a bounce it ashore, charged by Crawford. Tatario one, back to first, double play, 6-4-3. So after the Mets get the leadoff man on in the inning for the first time tonight, Tejada bounces into the 6-4-3. And just like that, 2 out, nobody on, and Daniel Murphy coming up.
It was a breaking ball, and he kind of chopped down on it. Tejada, after a 1-for-6 yesterday that included a double play. Yeah, he's got a hit tonight, but even that's been kind of marred by the fact he wasn't busting it out of the box.
So here is Murphy, who grounded to third and flied to center. First pitch by Lincecum. Fastball for a called strike, 0-1. The Giants leading 2-1 here in the top of the 6th inning. I would expect that we'll see Henry Mejia and perhaps Yoris Familia, the 0-1, splitter in the dirt, 1 ball and 1 strike. Perhaps Colin McHugh all come up and help the Mets in September. Of course, the rosters expand as of midnight, August 31st. And that's a subject that always causes some discussion. The 1-1 missed the outside corner, 2 balls and 1 strike. The splitter from Lincecum. There's been a lot more discussion over the last couple of years about amending that unlimited, or at least up to 40 or 40-man roster being allowed to come join the big club on September 1st.
I think that's one of the real nonsensical parts of Major League Baseball. Always have.
2-1 on the way. Splitter swung on and missed. He's had a good splitter tonight.
Yep, sure has.
Even with Murphy 2-2.
But to your point, you play 5 months under one set of rules where you got 25 guys. Then the last month, the most important month, you crumple that up. It's out the window. You can play 40 guys if you want to.
Especially in the edge it gives you with pitching matchups.
Sure.
Which is so crucial. Well, they're looking to rework that. The 2-2 on the way. Slider low. 3 balls and 2 strikes. There's a lot of talk about maybe going to a, say, 28-man roster.
Well, sure. I mean, just like if in football, you carry 53 guys, but you can only dress 45. Hockey, you've got a same kind of limit. You can carry a bunch, but you can only dress so many.
So here's the payoff pitch to Murphy. Swung on and foul tipped at home plate, and it nicked the catcher, Buster Posey. Murphy just did get a piece of the ball, and I think the ball got a bigger piece of Posey. Foul ball right off the foot, right off his right foot. Posey feeling a little bit, so the home plate umpire Bill Miller gives Posey time to absorb the pain, sweep some dirt off a home plate.
You know, Howie, we were talking about all the trades that have been made the last couple of weeks. I saw a note where, I mean, if you don't count Omar Quintanilla for cash, which was a trade, but, you know, Mets didn't get a person back. Only San Diego and Washington, the only other 2 teams that failed to make a trade since the whole Kevin Youkilis trade went down. That was the first one.
Payoff pitch to Murphy. Swung on and missed strike 3. Lincecum went up high with either a slider or a splitter. And the side retired. No runs, a hit. Nobody left. Middle of the 6th inning. The Giants 2, the Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets!
Today, my journey.
To the bottom of the 6th inning, Giants leading 2-1. The Speed Report is being brought to you by Health Diagnostics. Call 8557-STAND-UP to schedule your stand-up MRI today. That's hurt in the speed department because of the injury to Andres Torres to right around the base of his thumb. They did an X-ray this morning and found no fracture. There's a concern, though, about some ligament or tendon damage. Ryan Theriot leads off against Matt Harvey. First pitch, slider low outside, 1-0. And the results of the X-rays were sent back to New York to be further evaluated, but could be a couple of days without Torres at least playing and hitting. The 1-0 popped foul into the seats first base side, 1-1, but Andres will be used to pinch run if Terry Collins is comfortable with that. We saw Torres, after getting hurt last night, going feet first on a play at second, and he'll probably have to train himself to do that with some regularity. Here's the 1-1. Taken low, 2 balls and 1 strike on Theriot.
Both teams lose the services of their starting center fielders for a couple of days. Angel Pagan punched something in frustration after an at-bat yesterday. He could pinch run, but he can't hit.
2-1 pitch hit high in the air to left center field, pretty deep. Valdespin on his horse into the gap, can't get it. It goes to the wall, picked up on the warning track. Theriot to second. He'll stop there as the throw comes in past Tejada to the backup cutoff man Murphy. And standing at second with a leadoff double is Ryan Theriot, only his 5th hit in his last 26 at-bats.
And to hear it told, those other hits, and we saw a couple of them yesterday, were ground balls that found the outfield. That's the best ball he's hit, that means, in about a week, because everything else have been strikeouts and grounders. So Valdespin gave it a run out there in the alley, but he just couldn't catch up to it.
And now Melky Cabrera, as tough a hitter as there is in the National League, he struck out and flied to center. So Harvey's got to tighten the belt here. He did it so effectively in the second inning. Deserved better when the Giants scored their 2 runs. And now runner at second, nobody out. Cabrera batting left-handed. First pitch, he bunts up the third base line. Bobbled by Turner, who tried to barehand it, and everybody is safe. Well, the ball was hugging the grass, and Turner calculated that it was not going to go foul. And so he figured the only chance he had to make something out of it was the barehand pickup and a quick throw to first. Now, I'm not sure whether or not that ball would have gone foul or not, but Turner made up his mind that it was not going to, but failed to come up with it. The Giants have runners at the corners with nobody out, and Dan Warthen, the Mets pitching coach, on his way to the mound.
From what we saw last night, how that slope of the grass tends to affect a bunt, I'm not sure Justin Turner's correct that ball would not have gone foul had he just let it roll. And had he made the David Wright style bare hand pickup and throw in one motion, it's kind of a moot point. That's great, but because that didn't happen, now for the second time tonight, Harvey's in a mess, and he mopped up very effectively whatever mess that was made in that second inning. He really should have been out of that inning without a single run scoring, but the errant throw by Tejada cost him 2 runs. And now here you got first and third, and Buster Posey coming up.
And remember, it was the bottom third of the order that Harvey tried to get past in the second inning. Now he's got 4, 5, and 6. Posey singled and hit back to the box. So runners at the corners, nobody out. Theriot at third, Cabrera at first. The infield back at double play depth. Right here with nobody out, they'll trade the run for 2 outs. We're in the 6th inning with nobody out. The Giants leading 2-1. Outfield a step towards left and deep. Harvey's first pitch way outside a fastball. 1-0. Out of town scoreboard brought to you by Prudential. Bring your challenges. Phillies over Washington 8-0 behind Cliff Lee. Braves have defeated the Marlins 7-1. They had a rain delay after 5 innings. 1-0 to Posey. Harvey delivers, swing and a tapper foul up the third base line. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cincinnati beat San Diego 7-6. The Pirates behind A.J. Burnett, who pitched a complete game 1-hitter, defeated the Cubs 5-0. Burnett had a no-hitter until 2 out in the 8th when Adrian Cardenas singled to break it up. Milwaukee beat Houston 10-1. 1-1 to Posey. Harvey sets. Now the pitch. Swung on and fouled off of the catcher Josh Tolley. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It is St. Louis 11 and Colorado 5. Bottom of the 9th inning in Denver. Beltran is 24th. Holiday, Freeze, and Rutledge all with homers in that game. Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers 2-1 at the end of 5 in L.A. Theriot at third, Cabrera at first, nobody out. Last of the 6th inning, 2-1 Giants. Harvey leaning in to get that sign from Tolley. Taking his time. Now brings the hands together. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a liner down the right field line, slicing foul. And off the sidewall, the count remains 1-2. In the American League, the Yankees scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning against the Orioles. Baltimore scored 7 in the top of the 2nd. And the Orioles beat the Yankees again, 11-5. Chris Tillman over Ivan Nova, Chris Davis, Nick Markakis, Robinson Cano all with homers. Boston beat Detroit in a rain-shortened game 4-1 after 5.5 innings. 1-2 to Posey. Harvey sets the pitch. Taken high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Angels defeated the Rangers 6-2. Jared Weaver now 14-1. Pujols twice, and Trout with homers. Pujols, after that really slow start, now has 20 homers. Royals beat the Indians 8-3. The White Sox defeated the Twins 4-3. 2-2 to Posey. Harvey sets. Now the pitch. And a slider missed low, full count. So 3-2 on Posey, and we'll see what Cabrera does from first base here. Buster Posey, a .330 hitter with men in scoring position. That's tied for 8th best in the National League. Harvey has struck out 6. He's walked 2. Giants leading 2-1. Runners at the corners, nobody out. Harvey sets. Here's the payoff pitch, and it's off the outside corner. Ball 4. He missed with a fastball, and for the second time tonight, the Giants have the bases loaded, nobody out. Cabrera was not going from first on the 3-2 pitch. And now Marco Scutaro will bat. And the Mets are going to get some action down in the bullpen. Ramon Ramirez leads the charge out of the Mets dugout.
Couple things that you wonder here. Will Harvey be courageous enough to throw the changeup with the bases loaded to a guy like Scutaro? That's been a pitch he's been asked to work in tonight, and it's been effective. Also keep in mind, Scutaro is a tough guy to throw a fastball by. He leads the major leagues in making contact. 94% of the time he swings, he does not miss.
So Harvey working from the stretch with the bases loaded. The first pitch. Swing and a ground ball to short. Underhands to Murphy, 1. Back to first. Double play. However, Terrio scores from third. Going to third is Cabrera. And the double play by Scutaro has given the Giants a 3-1 lead. But a big pitch by Harvey, because the Mets with that infield back were trading the run for 2 outs.
Right. That was the likeliest occurrence, was contact on a ground ball. And it's just about making sure that you get the out or outs, as it turns out. And yeah, you absolutely, in a game like this, you trade out that run to make sure it's not a big inning.
But still a runner at third, 2 out, and Brandon Belt the batter. Belt walked, scored on Tejada's error in the second, and struck out. Harvey sets his first pitch. Slider in for a called strike, 0-1. Harvey now has thrown 87 pitches. He has now pitched 5 2/3 innings, a third of an inning more than he did in his debut when he threw 106 pitches. So he's been more efficient tonight. Hasn't had a whole lot of help defensively, not in that 1 inning anyway. The 0-1 changeup outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Tampa Bay 2, Oakland 0. You know that game's going on. We could see the lights in the Oakland Coliseum across the bay. James Shields against Tommy Malone. Seattle 5, Toronto 2 at the end of 4 in Seattle. 1-1 the count. Harvey deals and missed inside with a fastball. So 2-1 now on Brandon Belt. Left-hand hitting first baseman out of the University of Texas. Harvey sets at the letters. The 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss at a fastball, and it's 2-2. 92-mile-an-hour fastball from Harvey. Mets will have the middle of the order due up in the 7th inning. And again, we mentioned Harvey now going on his 91st pitch of the game, and this may be it for him here in the 6th inning. Here's the 2-2 pitch. In there for a call, strike 3. He threw a fastball by him at 95 miles an hour. Side retired. 7 strikeouts for Harvey. Giants loaded the bases with nobody out. Settled for 1 run on 2 hits. No errors, 1 left. And at the end of 6, it's the Giants 3, the Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Seventh inning, here's Josh.
Ike Davis takes outside. Thank you, Howie. It's 3-1 San Francisco as the Mets bat in the top of the 7th. Davis, Hairston, and Baxter against the Freak. Tim Lincecum, just 4-11 this year. But pitching very well tonight. The 1-0 cut on and missed, 1-1. That split has been chewing up Ike Davis all night tonight. 3 runs, 4 hits for San Francisco. 4 and 1 big error for the Mets tonight. Wind blowing softly out towards right center. The pitch is tagged foul down the left side into the crowd. Lincecum, with those 4 wins, one of them is against the Mets back in April. He pitched very well that day, striking out 8. 5 strikeouts for him tonight, and his control has been very good. Hasn't walked anybody yet. The 1-2, swing and a miss, and down goes Davis. There's that splitter again. He just can't help himself.
Well, it's not just at Lincecum split. Davis 0 for 3 in this game, now 0 for 12 with 9 strikeouts since the big game on Saturday night.
You talk about paying a price for a career night.
Did he sell his soul for his buddies that night?
Joe Hardy, the role being played by Ike Davis on this road trip. We're coming to you live from the Peerless Boilers broadcast booth. Remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers. Mets are coming home a week from tonight. They'll take on the Miami Marlins.
So soon?
Yeah, well, yeah. We're about halfway through this trip now. The Marlins are in for 3. The Braves are in for 3. Harrison stands in there and takes inside 1-0. The Marlins have been in the export business. The Braves have been in the import business. If you want to make the NL East like a communal Vandalay Industries, that's the way it's going. Outfield is towards left and a step back against Hairston. There's a rock in the pitch taken on the inside corner, 1-1. Those new look Braves with a win tonight, and they're getting closer to the Washington Nationals, who stayed pat at the trade deadline. 2.5 games now. The Braves are behind the Nats. Here's a wind in the 1-1 from Lincecum. Swinging a base hit in the right field on the ground for Hairston in between first and second base. Now you've got Hairston on now with 1 out and Mike Baxter coming up. Mets had the bunt hit from Valdespin in the 6th inning. Other than that, you got to go back to the 3rd inning to find a hit. That was Tejada's double.
I'll probably send Hairston here. They sent Baxter earlier. They sent Hairston earlier in the count.
Well, Buster Posey is the kind of guy that can throw you out. You got to be mindful of that. And Lincecum's the kind of guy that can strike you out. You don't want to run into a double play. Trailing 3-1 in the top of the 7th inning. Baxter waiting. Hairston going. The pitch swung on, bounced foul up near first, and will do it again. A lot of splitters tonight. There was another one. 4 out of 7 pitchers in this sequence have been the split. Let's pause for station ID on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
The Yankees lost to Baltimore.
Hensley.
Hairston expected to be running again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 on, 1 out. We're in the 7th. There it goes. Here it comes. It's high. Ball 4. And the Mets have 2 men on with just 1 out here in the top of the 7th inning. And a big chance for Justin Turner.
Clay Hensley, a right-hander, now throwing in the Giants' bullpen. He's the guy who had that brain cramp last night. The bunt back to him. And now Dave Righetti, the pitching coach, will buy a few pitches for Hensley by going out to chat with Lincecum.
And we'll remind him that Feld Law Firm, New York's premier personal injury firm, reminds you that this copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets.
And now as we get down towards the bottom of the Mets order, they have to get the bullpen up. Tim Burdack starts to throw in case the Mets get down to the pitcher spot. But a lot to like from Matt Harvey tonight, whether he goes out for another inning or not.
Well, Turner tonight has hit the ball solidly twice. Once for a double to left. Once he hit a sharp grounder to second base. You'd take the former, not the latter, right here. Getting a chance to play with David Wright, having the night off. Turner settles in, and that infield gets ready for a ground ball. Double play depth with 1 out. 3-1 Giants. The pitch sliced foul out of play first base side. We've talked about Justin Turner in glowing terms in terms of getting big hits in big situations. He's got a .370 average this year with runners in scoring position. And as you know, in short, Justin Turner's a smart, solid, hard-nosed, hustling ball player. Got plenty of value as a bench guy. And getting that occasional start like he's doing tonight. 2 on, just 1 out. The rock and the pitch taken, and it's high. No, called a strike. And Turner snaps his head around, questioning Bill Miller. I was of the opinion that was quite high, but it's called no balls, 2 strikes now.
It certainly looked up from the angle we saw with the center field camera. Turner is stepping out, and he better not take anything close after looking back after that last one.
Well, it's frustrating trying to hit 0-2 against Lincecum as opposed to just being up there 1-1. Trailing 3-1 in the top of the 7th. One of the best chances the Mets have had all night. The set by Lincecum. The rock and the pitch, swinging a foul. Back to the first base side. Getting a big hit late at night. Justin Turner did that when he first broke in. His first big league hit was as an Oriole. He did it at Yankee Stadium at 1:17 in the morning. An extra inning game that had a 2.5-hour rain delay. First big league hit, and nobody was awake to see it in his family. Past midnight back home, trying to come up big here with 2 on. 2 strikes the count. Here it comes. Swing and a foul back. Brought the heat again. Turner just missed driving it somewhere, and he's talking to himself.
Yeah, the first pitch that he fouled off, he flipped the knob of that bat up against the top of his back in a little bit of frustration. That last foul ball was the best pitch that he's seen in this confrontation, and the most hittable one, too.
I'll see if he's being set up for a slider or even a split. Josh Tolley on deck. Lincecum sets, winds, fires, swing, tapper near third. It's a fair ball. Scudero cannot get to the bag in time. Everybody's safe. Hustling to third is Hairston. The bases are loaded with 1 out. It's an 0-2 infield hit. A line grabber that C.B. Buckner said was fair. Scudero was playing about 7 or 8 feet in back of the bag and then realized, even if I dive, I can't get him. He dove too late, and Hairston grabbing the base to make it bases loaded, 1 out for Tolley.
This is the first couple of games that Scudero has played at third base in 4 years. And that ball had just enough loft to it to allow Hairston to get down to third in enough time to make that dive by Scudero futile. So now that tying run in scoring position.
Josh Tolley, a big chance for him. He'll take a breaking ball strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Tolley's been induced to hit the ball on the ground twice, both times to the second baseman. And obviously here, you can't have that. You're trying to stay out of the double play. David Wright has grabbed the bat. He's in the on-deck circle for the pitcher. The 0-1 from Lincecum. Swing and a shot towards second. Grabbed. Quick little shuttle toss to second. Safe the call. Oh, the Mets might have gotten a break. It's 1 out instead of 2, and David Wright will bat. The second baseman, Terrio, could have thrown to first also and gotten the double play. And in a close play, looking at the replay, safe is the right call. It was close, but it was the right call. On a line shot to Terrio, his flip to Crawford just a shade too late to double off Baxter.
And no argument by anybody on the field for the Giants or Bruce Bochy in the dugout, and that very often is the giveaway. And so remember now, David Wright, 2 for 19 against Lincecum, will hit against him, batting for Matt Harvey.
As predicted, David, even on a night off, would find a way to get up there. Bases loaded, 2 out, top 7. 3-1 San Francisco. Lincecum's at 106 pitches. Goes to the belt, has the sign. Here's the pitch taken inside, 1-0.
David doesn't do a whole lot of pinch hitting, and he is just 3 for his last 30 overall.
Tim Burdack is up in the Met bullpen. Double barrel action now for the Giants. Here's the 1-0 coming to David Wright. Swing and a foul back. It's 1-1. A lot of fastballs being pumped in now by Lincecum, who knows he's getting close to the end.
Jeremy Affeldt is the left-hander who is up in the San Francisco bullpen now with Valdespin on deck.
Wright hitting .330. He's got 16 homers. He leads the team with 71 runs batted in.
And just 1 for 5 in his career as a pinch hitter. This is a real rarity. A David Wright pinch hitting appearance.
Outfield a little bit to left and a step back. The 1-1 from Lincecum, taking a bullet for a strike, 1-2. That tilts the count in Lincecum's favor, and the crowd gets into it. under a full moon here in San Francisco. Everybody standing now. Mets leading from all three bases. Hairston, Baxter, and Turner from third, second, and first. Wright waving that ash-colored bat back and forth. Lincecum to the belt. A 1-2 pitch. Swing and a foul. Back will do it again. It came with the split that time after 3 fastballs in a row. Wright does not step out of the box. Just fiddles with his batting gloves a little bit. He wants to get right back on this horse. 3-1 San Francisco. Top 7.
110 pitches now for Lincecum. He's thrown as many as 122 this year.
With the bases loaded, Lincecum has his sign. Slowly setting near the belt. The wind in the 1-2 pitch taken low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Mets getting a single from Hairston, a Baxter walk, and then the infield hit from Turner. It is 2-2 to Wright. And the top of the order, Valdespin on deck. That long black hair hanging off the head of Tim Lincecum, and he dangles that right arm as he has the sign. Sets, kicks, fires, taken. Strike 3 called inside corner. He broke out the hook. David Wright will argue with Bill Miller that that pitch was inside, but the call stays. And that is that. The Mets leave him loaded. No runs, 2 hits, 3 left. We're at the stretch. 3-1 San Francisco on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Well, probably the best curveball of the few that Tim Lincecum has thrown tonight. Been a lot of splitters and sliders and fastballs, but he broke out the hammer for David Wright. I suppose any time a really good New York Met takes a look at a really good curveball, you have an unfortunate flashback to October of 2006, and obviously not nearly as much on the line, but essentially it's a great hitter just kind of, well, giving up on a great pitch. You looked at the replay, it sure looked like a strike, and you got to tip your hat to Tim Lincecum. That was maybe the best pitch he threw all night, and it was to a great hitter in a tough spot. 3-1. The Giants keep that lead as the Mets left the bases loaded in the top of that 7th inning. Now to the bottom of the 7th, we'll check the Geico pitching line for the rookie Matt Harvey, who went 6 innings tonight. 4 hits, 3 runs, only 2 of them earned, 3 walks, and 7 more strikeouts. 91 pitches tonight. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com. And as for a second ever Major League start, not a lot to really be dismissive or disappointed about at all. Burdack draws Justin Kristen, number 7 batter, right-hander, bounces one sharply to third. Turner's got it. And down on the grass for a moment, then picks himself up, throws to first. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the last of the 7th inning.
You know what I like best about Harvey is that, well, you look at his totals from the first 2 games, 11 and a third innings, he struck out 18, and that's what's going to jump out at everybody. But when you needed him to pitch to contact, he basically got 2 double play ground balls. Remember, he had a bases loaded, no out situation in the second, got the first out, then got the guy coming out now, Crawford, to hit that ground ball to second. Tejada threw the pitch, threw the relay away, and that allowed 2 runs to score. He should have been out of the inning there.
Brandon Crawford, the lefty, will take at the knees, strike 1.
And the only other run, bases loaded, nobody out, infield playing back. He got Scooter into the ground ball double play, so never mind the strikeouts. When he needed to get 4 outs, 2 pitches should have done it.
2 delivery, breaking ball, got him. That slider from Tim Burdack, and that is death on lefties sometimes. It was for Brandon Crawford.
Brett Hill now will pinch hit for Lincecum.
And Lincecum's night, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, only 1 walk, and he struck out 7. That's the best, well, one of the best that he's had in the last 10 or 12 starts. And Pill, big right-hand batter, one-time college teammate, good buddies with Justin Turner, who's watching on, playing third base right now. Pill hitting .215 as a Giant. Was doing much better than that at AAA Fresno. Just summoned today with Aubrey Huff going on the DL. Pill wearing number 6. Right-hand batter, and he will take here from Tim Burdack. And it misses outside 1-0. 286 batter was Pill down at AAA. 8 home runs for the Fresno Grizzlies. Next one is Low, 2-0. I love their minor league team names. They got the Grizzlies at AAA, the Flying Squirrels at AA. They got the Augusta Green Jackets at Single A, and the Salem Kaiser Volcanoes below that. There's a strike. It's 2-1. So some of it is regional. I mean, the Green Jackets works because it's in Augusta, but the Flying Squirrels would pretty much work anywhere. It happens to work in Richmond, Virginia.
Some guy named Moose managed the Flying Squirrels.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it'd be great.
The 2-1 is just a bit outside. Here's something you'll really like. It's 3 balls, 1 strike. After Pill, it's going to be the top of the order, Gregor Blanco. The Giants only have 4 hits tonight, but they've got a 3-1 lead. The 3-1 pitch, a high strike. Oh, Brett Pill tossed that bat aside, thinking it was ball 4. And not so much.
That is a bitter pill right now.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't.
What time did you say it was? 12:20 in the morning?
Once we get past midnight, I take no responsibility for hardly anything.
No, I'm doing Rocky and Bullwinkle over here. You can make pill puns. 3-2. A shot into left field. Baxter, or rather Hairston, going over towards the alley, makes the catch. And that'll do it for Giants here in the bottom of the 7th inning. No runs and 1 man left. On to the 8th we go. Giants 3, Mets 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. This 8th inning, though, is where the Mets, against a tough reliever, got it right yesterday. They scored 4 times to overtake the Giants. Sergio Romo was blasted around, and it was Valdespin that detonated the blasting. Down in the count 0-2, lined a single to get all that going.
Third baseman Scudero in tight. The 0-1, another curveball, outside corner called strike. Quickly, 0-2. And the Giants keep that bullpen hot, and it is Sergio Romo, who was touched up by the Mets last night, getting loose now. The on-deck batter, a right-hand hitter, Tejada. And then you've got a couple of left-handed bats. Here's the 0-2. Breaking ball swung on and foul tipped at home plate. He just got a piece. Posey, the catcher, saying no, he didn't. Posey went over to pick that ball up and either try to tag Valdespin or throw him out at first.
Ooh, he didn't come close to touching that ball.
We just saw the replay from the center field camera. He missed that by the length of another bat.
What a break. And again, 0-2 was the count last night when Valdespin shot a single in a right center. Let's see if he can take advantage of this huge break.
The outfield is shallow and around towards left against him. That fell 3 great breaking balls, not out of this at bat yet. The 0-2. Now the curveball swung on and missed, strike 3. And Valdespin was totally overmatched there.
Valdespin, he's going to learn that if you look foolish the first time, you're going to get that same pitch the second time, then the third, and then the fourth. And he just kept going further and further away, and that just seemed to frustrate Valdespin more. He kept swinging every time.
That's the pitcher's mindset. You know, Billy Wagner used to talk about that all the time, about his slider. He'd say, look, if they keep swinging at it and missing it, I'm going to keep throwing it. So there became very little mystery, at least in certain at-bats, and that was kind of an example there against Affeldt. So now Tejada 1 for 3, right-hand batter, takes a fastball for a called strike, 0-1. So again, it's set up now for Affeldt, having gotten that first batter out, because you've got Murphy and Davis immediately behind Tejada. And the Mets behind the Giants 3-1. Although they've out hit San Francisco 6-4. Tejada's error, though, a huge play in the second inning. The 0-1 taken low, 1-1 by Wrights. That should have been a double play, and the Mets should have been out of that inning, still leading 1-0. Instead, in retrospect, that's the pivotal play in the game to this point.
Well, really, the Giants have 3 runs on 2 double play balls, is what it comes down to tonight.
That's right. Here's the 1-1. Curveball hits the outside corner, a called strike 2. And that's what we mean about the way when Harvey had to bear down and really pitch. He pitched.
Yeah, he did it, yeah.
So not much to dislike about Harvey. It'd be great for his sake. Never mind the teams if the Mets can get him off the hook. but they've got 5 outs to play with. Trailing by 2. Tejada behind in the count, 1-2. Affeldt to the belt, kicks and deals. Swung on and missed, strike 3. That one in the dirt. However, it was caught cleanly by Posey, so I don't know, maybe a make good from the home plate Bill Miller, and now 2 out, nobody on for Daniel Murphy.
Well, as lousy as the Giants bullpen was yesterday, the one guy that didn't pitch, Affeldt, comes out here. It's like, boys, let me show you how it's done.
And he's always pitched well against the Mets since coming over to the National League. Affeldt, a career 2.37 ERA against them with a win and a save. And now here's Murphy, who's 0 for 3. First pitch, fastball, a little bit low, 1-0. Finally threw one out of the strike zone. Ike Davis waiting on deck. Ramon Ramirez throwing in the Mets bullpen. 1-0, the count on Murphy. Affeldt delivers. Fastball hit on the ground to second, right at Terrio. Looks it into his glove, throws to first in time, side retired. Mets go in order, middle of the 8th inning. 3-1, San Francisco on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets! F-A-N!
The bold.
Here's the 3-0 on the way. Outside and low, ball 4. Ramon Ramirez walks the leadoff man on 4 pitches. Whoa.
Well, and looking ahead to the 9th, too, with Ike Davis due to lead off, you figure that Affeldt, who threw only 10 pitches in that 8th inning, could be left out there to face that lefty and maybe even keep going from there, because after Hairston, it would be Mike Baxter.
Yep. So nobody throwing in the Giants bullpen now, and we'll see if Terrio's looking to bunt here as the Mets immediately send Elvin Ramirez down to the bullpen to get ready. Throw to first just to see if the bunt was on. Blanco slides back in, and Terrio gave nothing away. The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by Rally BMW. BMW makes the car. Rally makes the difference. Visit them at rallybmw.com. Terrio has 1 for 3. Another throw to first. Again, Blanco dives in, and again, Terrio gave nothing away. Now, time called as Terrio needs an extra moment to put himself together. So we'll run through those scores again. Philadelphia over Washington behind Cliff Lee 8-0. They beat Steven Strasburg. Braves beat the Marlins 7-1. Reds over the Padres 7-6. Now Ramirez sets. Blanco bluffs, doesn't go. Pitch taken at the knees for a called strike. And Blanco hustles back to first as Tolley came up ready to throw but did not have to release it. So 0-1 on Ryan Terrio. Pittsburgh on a complete game 1-hitter by A.J. Burnett beat the Cubs 5-0. He was 4 outs from his second career no-hitter, but Adrian Cardenas spoiled it with a 2-out single in the 8th. Ramirez to the belt. Another throw to first. Blanco, close play, dives back in safely. Milwaukee over Houston 10-1. The Cardinals beat the Rockies 11-6, and the Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers 5-1, playing the top of the 8th in L.A. Orioles defeated the Yankees 11-5. The Yankees got all of their runs in the bottom of the first inning to take a 5-0 lead. Orioles got 7 in the top of the second and were on their way. 0-1 to Terrio. Now the pitch. Swing and a foul ball off to the right and out of play downstairs behind first, and the count 0-2. Red Sox in a rain-shortened game after 5.5 defeated the Tigers 4-1. Josh Beckett left that game in the 3rd inning due to back spasms. Angels over the Rangers 6-2. The Royals beat the Indians 8-3. White Sox over the Twins 4-3. Tampa Bay leading Oakland 6-0 going to the 9th behind James Shields. Ramirez ready. The 0-2 on the way. Swing and a ground ball wide of second. Murphy to his left has it. Fires to second 1, and there will be no return throw by Tejada. So Terrio safe at first on the fielder's choice. Blanco out at second 4-6. 1 man away, and that will bring up Melky Cabrera. Also, it is Seattle leading Toronto 7-2 at the end of 6 innings in Seattle. So here's Melky Cabrera. Struck out, fly to center, and bunted his way aboard. Mets have the infield back now at double play depth. The outfield straightaway. Cabrera batting left-handed. Terrio runs. Pitch taken for a ball. Throw to second. Not in time. Stolen base for Ryan Terrio. Tolley's throw was low into the shortstop side of the bag. And that took away any realistic chance Tejada had of getting Theriot. So it's a stolen base. Buster Posey, a right-hand batter on deck. Cabrera batting left-handed here. They don't have to pitch to him now with first base open, but they will. And the 1-0 on the way. A fastball in for a called strike. And the count 1-1. And by the way, speaking of strategy and putting guys on, remember how we were talking last night in the 10th inning? The 1-1 on the way. Lined in the air, foul down the third baseline. And the count 1-2 strikes. Remember when Brandon Belt came up, and the Mets leading by a run and 2 out, runners at the corners. If they had walked Belt, that would have loaded the bases, but the Giants pitcher would have had to hit. Or a Giants pitcher would have had to hit. The 1-2 to Cabrera. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a changeup. Big out for Ramon Ramirez. 2 men away and Buster Posey coming up. We'll explain that strategy after we pause for station identification on the WFAN Mets Radio Network. Howie Rose, Josh Lewin with you in San Francisco. Giants 3, Mets 1. 2 out, bottom of the 8th. Here's Posey with a runner at second. The first pitch on the outside corner, a slider, 0-1. Basically, Terry Collins said he didn't want to load the bases up for Acosta, who had walked 2 of the first 3 batters he faced, because he was afraid Acosta would wind up walking the pitcher. 0-1 the count. Ramirez delivers. And it's off the outside corner, low and away, 1-1.
It's what you and I were kind of chewing on up here, too, that if you know you've got a strike thrower, you absolutely go ahead and face the pitcher. But I don't think anybody was trusting, including Terry Collins, Acosta, to just stand there and throw strikes.
Ramirez sets the 1-1 to Posey. Slider outside, 2-1. Basically, Terry said they're going to have to beat me with a hit, not a walk. And he was more afraid of Acosta walking in the tying run than he was allowing it with a hit. And all Belt did was hit it almost 400 feet.
Right. And, you know, the thing is, it takes a real drive to get one out of here at night with this heavy air out by China Basin.
2-1 the count. Ramirez delivers. Slider off the outside corner, ball 3. Again, first base is open here. Marco Scutero is the on-deck hitter. Coming to you live from the Peerless Boilers broadcast booth. Remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers, and now they're just going to put Posey on altogether. Tolley up out of the crouch, extends that right arm to signal the intentional walk. And here is intentional ball 4, and so that'll set up the force at any base and bring up the very recently acquired Marco Scutero, who's gone 1 for 2 with a walk in this game. So 2 walks in the inning now by Ramon Ramirez, 1 intentional. And so here is Scutero, who has hit in 6 straight. Ramirez, the third pitcher the Mets have used. Matt Harvey was just fine in his second outing. He went 6, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs, 2 of which were earned. He walked 3, he struck out 7. So again, a lot to like about Matt Harvey. His next start will be Sunday in San Diego. Now it's Scutero. Outfield a step towards left. The first pitch way upstairs. A slider that hung, 1 ball and no strikes. But it hung out of the strike zone. Ramon Ramirez will turn 31 years of age at the very end of August. The Mets, his 5th team, played part of 2010 and all of last year with the Giants. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Slider low outside. Ball 2. It's 2-0.
Can't get that slider over, and 11 out of 18 pitches from Ramirez have missed the strike zone.
He has been, at best, inconsistent. This is his 36th appearance, 2-2 with a 4.22 earned run average. Now Ramirez to the belt. 2-0 on the way. Fastball line to center field, base hit. Valdespin over in the gap to get it. Around third, and coming home to score is Theriot. The throw comes into second. Going to third is Posey. And on at first with an RBI single is Marco Scutero. And the Giants have a 4-1 lead.
That stolen base by Theriot ends up being kind of a big play to get all that rocking and rolling. And Scutero, as we've talked about, is just a premium contact hitter. He does not swing and miss. And sometimes you can get him to hit the ball on the ground for a double play, as he did in the 6th inning. But this time he smokes one in the right center.
Like a fastball that just had way too much of the plate. Right around belt high on Scutero, a pitch you can't make in that spot with the Mets already down 2. So now it is a 3-run Giant lead at 4-1. And left-hand hitting Brandon Belt, 0 for 2 with a walk, will be the batter. Giants with 5 hits, the Mets 6. Valdespin takes a couple of steps to move straight away in center, and the first pitch hit in the air to left field. Scott Hairston under it, waiting, makes the catch, side retired. Giants tack on a big run on 1 hit. No errors, 2 left at the end of 8. San Francisco 4, New York 1 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Road trip.
Well, you'd hate to think that way, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The 0-1 fastball line toward short, caught by a leaping Crawford, 1 man away. Excellent play by Crawford, who timed that jump perfectly.
Well, and that's just plain hitting and some bad luck right there. When Ike Davis is about to get going again, usually he's lining balls to left. And that ball was headed to the alley in left center, scorched by Ike Davis. But a leaping, athletic, tall shortstop, Brandon Crawford, was able to get up high and deny him.
Oh, that'll bring up Scott Hairston, who's 2 out of 3. Crawford's family, lifelong Giant fans, season ticket holders at First Candlestick. Certainly will appreciate that, as well as the sellout crowd. Here's Hairston, right-hand batter, takes fastball for a called strike, 0-1. 41,774 represent the 137th consecutive sellout for the Giants. The 0-1 on the way. Curveball hit deep to left, but foul down the line, and the count 0-2. And on deck is Jason Bay to bat for Mike Baxter. Reason Bay wasn't in the lineup tonight was that he fouled a ball off of his calf last night. It was stiff on him today. But he's on deck, prepared to hit against the lefty, although the Giants do have Romo still throwing in their bullpen, the right-hander. 0-2 to Hairston. Affeld delivers. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a slider. Affeld 3 strikeouts. Now the Mets down to their last out, and here comes Jason Bay.
Well, we saw Ramon Ramirez get out there, and 10 of his first 15 pitches were balls. Affeld now 15 pitches, and 2 of his 15 pitches have been balls. And that just kind of helps define the difference between these two bullpens.
How about that? I mean, that's as stark a juxtaposition as you can get. And now Jason Bay, the last chance for the Mets. Batting for Baxter. First pitch taken high. A slider, 1 ball and no strikes. Jason just hitting 164 in 116 at bats, 5 homers, 8 runs batted in. He had 1 for 3 last night. His only hit in his last 25 at bats. 2 out, nobody on. The 1-0 on the way. Fastball outside. And the count 2-0. Justin Turner, a right-hand batter, on deck. Many of the fans who remain here at AT&T Park are on their feet. 4-1 Giants, 2 out, nobody on, top of the 9th. 2-0 to Bay, takes a fastball high, ball 3. So 3-0. Mike Baxter went 0 for 2 with a walk. And that's the spot that Bay's in right now, hitting for Baxter. Scutero, the third baseman, behind the bag near the line. 3-1 pitch taken for a called strike, a fastball, 3-1. Game 3 of this series will be tomorrow night. John Neese against Matt Cain. Affeld sets the 3-1 to Bay, swinging at a ground ball to third, fielded right behind the bag by Scutero, throws to first low. It's dug out by Belt. Bay is out, and the ball game is over. The San Francisco Giants have evened up this 4-game series at 1 win apiece. In the 9th inning, the Mets go in order. The final score, the San Francisco Giants 4 and the New York Mets 1. Back to talk about it in a moment on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Let's go Mets!
In San Francisco, the Giants have beaten the Mets 4-1. And Josh, I'm reminded tonight of the great line by the former USC and later Tampa Bay Buccaneers football coach John McKay, who was asked many, many years ago, Coach, what do you think of your team's execution? He said, I'm in favor of it. Well, the Mets had a chance to execute double plays each of the last 2 nights that would have been huge plays. They did not execute either one, and the one they muffed tonight was a real killer.
Well, and, let's face it, Howie, coming out of spring training, one of the concerns was how would the defense be? Could it really hold up? And, it's not Daniel Murphy tonight. That was the biggest concern in the infield. Ruben Tejada airmailed to throw. And yesterday, Ike Davis had trouble a couple times. Essentially, the Giants scored their first 3 runs on double play balls tonight. And they end up winning the game 4-1. It spoils Matt Harvey's second ever big league start. He takes a tough loss going to 1-1. And Tim Lincecum pitched very well tonight, like the Tim Lincecum of old, like the Cy Young version of Tim Lincecum. He's now 5-11 with 2 of those wins against the Mets. Jeremy Offelt on for his second save in a game that took only 2 hours, 29 minutes. So again, the Mets and the Giants now even Steven in this series, 1 win apiece.
And we'll look at tomorrow's matchup right after this on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Well, the fans happily file out of here singing something about leaving their hearts in San Francisco. The Mets, not to be snarky about it, left their ability to turn double plays in Port St. Lucie, apparently. In spring training, it was a point of emphasis to make sure that you're getting quick releases and making the correct throw, and it just didn't happen tonight. The Mets, really for 2 days now, have had chances to turn double plays and help out a starting pitcher, and it just hasn't happened. Tonight it came at a cost for young Matt Harvey, who pitched well enough to win, but an inability to turn double plays behind him, costing him and the Mets, who lose tonight 4-1. The Mets actually out-hit the Giants 6-5, but they lose to drop to 50-54 now through 104 games. The Giants get a needed win. They had lost 5 straight. They're at 56-47 now. Harvey's first major league loss comes at the expense of Tim Lincecum's 5th win of the year. He's 5-11. 41,774 paid to see it. They watched the Giants take it. Again, the final tonight was 4-1.
New York Mets baseball is a production of Sports Radio 66 WFAN in conjunction with the New York Mets. The executive producer is Dove Kramer, the coordinating producer Vicky Aiello, studio operations by Brian Monzo, Sam Dusenberry, and Russell Mathis, and our producer-engineer in the booth is the immortal Chris Smachkowski. The next game, Game Time, is brought to you by $100 Million Spectacular, the new scratch-off game for the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Game time tomorrow night against the Giants is 10:15. Mets Extra gets the broadcast underway at 9:35. And so for Josh Lewin and Ed Coleman, I'm Howie Rose. Thanks for joining us. Once again, the final score tonight, the San Francisco Giants 4, the New York Mets 1. Stay tuned now for Mets Extra, coming up next on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.